Okay, so this is the second video to continue the first video, and if you have not watched the first video of introducing God's clock, I really highly recommend to you to watch that first before this one. So this video is actually expanding the God's clock, which I was showing like this clock, where it was just like a basic kind of way of looking into the calendars and the time that we're in, but just so much more, and so it needs to be charted out of the data. And so right here, what I'm showing right here, the data of the clock which I've laid out. I've been trying to do it as rigorous as possible, and I haven't finished everything yet, but there's gonna be a lot of parts to add into this, and this is just like the beginning. We're just charting out the data. I'm not really into the calendars yet, because the clock it has the hour, the minute, the countries, the year, the months, and all those kind of stuff, and degrees. And so before trying to explain about the chart right here, there are two obvious points about this year that we're in, 2017, which as many know, that Revelation 12 sign will occur on 23rd of September this year, and this is a huge marker of the rapture, the sign of the rapture. And secondly is that the new president of America, and where Donald Trump was elected as president this year. Last year in November, and so he was in office back in 20th of January. And I have a lot to expand about that, but I'm not gonna cover it in this video. But what I wanted to say about Donald Trump, it's not by accident, and according to the Bible, when searching for the word Trump, it directly relates to the rapture of the bride, where in Matthew 24 verse 31, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. And the other one in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 verse 52, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. And so forth, in a lot of verses that really point to the new president, is indeed a sign of the soon coming rapture. And There's so much more, but this is, well, and as I know, um, well, many know about this, but just want adding to this video. The main point is not about this. The main point I want to talk about the chart. So first of all, the purpose of the clock, God's clock. Well, the main purpose to me, actually, that you know that there are markers every year, and there are markers in the past. There will be markers in the future, and they're just markers that came and passed. And so that's why the chart here, where it's able to reference all the markers as much as possible from the years past and in the future, and therefore they're linked up into different types of relationships, and where it could like linked up all together. And this may sound confusing to you perhaps, and well, it just kind of it just works in a way where you could kind of like see in multiple perspectives all at once. Like when you connect all the markers, like markers, when I say markers, like for instance, the 9/11 tag back in 2001, well, markers, the low markers, like for instance, Comet Ison that occurred back in on the 28th of November 2013. And so all these years, through the chart, we'll be able to see this all these years, to have kind of like connection together, and it could point to a particular time frame where it will just link back up everything. But it like but for today in this video, it's not about that yet, because like I haven't tried that out yet, but the data right here, on the first two columns is well, that is the Gregorian calendars of 2016 and 2017 together, and it is through this system, this charting system, that that years could be combined, months could be combined and seen at the same time. And right now we could see as of now, like well, it's not just the time that like well, to explain, like, well, right now we're in February, and but it could also be referenced like the years before for this time, and in the future, and says by months as well. But for the two columns, 2016 and 2017 must be used together, therefore to be referenced, like, I mean, it has to be done this way to make it possible to reference back to some years before and some years afterwards as well. For instance, 2001, it could only be referenced to 2016, and so well, the way that both years are merged together, it's because it both belongs to the Jewish year 5777, and in the past video explained about 2017 could be seen as 7777, and 2016 is could be seen as 7776. So it is a transition code, and that is that further confirms about both years are to be used together, because a transition code is 627, which is also sabbatical. Well, I've explained before that the number 6 to 7 representing like transforming from like the corruptible to the incorruptible, the bride's transformation. So anyways, both years are to be must run together simultaneously, and the next one, it's just about it's actually titling 5777 of the Jewish year, which in the past video I explained Genesis chapter 7, and it was pointing to this year as a sabbatical year, and this year is also linked up with Genesis 7 because, and unlike Genesis 7, it's about the worldwide flood. So that's a really important chapter about the soon coming rapture, but and once again, there's the 6 and the 7 from from 2016 to 2017 Jewish calendar, and it is very important to target those that transition code 6 and a 7, and not much about 5778, because that's not a transition code. The transition code is 627, and the want to say is that this is actually charged for the entire year, and so moving on to this one is just like the day of the year, so that's and this one is about the degrees of the clock. and the degrees of the clock, it is like that, where Sirius starts on the 12, and so the degrees could go forward, it could go backward, it could go halfway as well. And just, well, all four directions are actually equalized. Well, for instance, if we go on to like 12 o'clock here, it's actually going on to 90 degrees to 3 o'clock at the same time, and that's called forward. And a backward would be to 70 degrees at 9 o'clock. And the degrees are really important because, for instance, we could see some numbers that really stand out, and we could see 120 that points to 2016 direction. The number 120 mentioned in Genesis chapter 6 verse 3 talked about 120 years as the maximum tolerance of God against the wickedness of mankind. What I really wanted to get into is the number 115 through 40, and this I will explain more in the future. And these two numbers point to 2017, and 2017 obtain these two numbers is actually they're actually a combination of numbers regarding the Passover, and these two numbers came out from a calculation of Genesis chapter 7, and pointing to 240 degrees. As I explained before, that the clock it is superimposed to the world map, and where Israel is like the central base, and 240 degrees and 150 degrees, since they are connected together, is actually what I found is a route out of Egypt of the Israelites towards the Passover Red Sea, like the Red Sea Passover direction. And what I mean is that 240 it points to it points around here, and then 150 points to like around here. So I mean that's also making up 2017 at the same time. So anyways, in regarding of the Passover, I mean this is, I think, is a measure, like, I mean, the Passover is very important because is about the Lamb of God that was slain, and where through his blood we are saved. And so anyways, I would like to get into about the season well, actually the clock um, goes by month and it also goes by year. So it well, actually it follows the season of, like, the season of Israel, because Israel is the gauge at all times. So once again, there's the forward and the backward thing going on, and interestingly, pointing to the year, if it's 2017, which is this year right now, it's actually pointing to midsummer, 2017. Like, even though right now it's like winter, but it could also be seen as midsummer at the same time. And I think this is important because in Matthew 24 it talks about like certain season that of like awareness to the return of Christ. And so it's like Song of Solomon 2, for instance, and talked about like springtime, and so there are like different ways of looking at that. And there is the direction of the clock. And there's the same. It could be by month. It could be by year. And so different months point to different direction of the clock. And so as a certain year points to a certain direction of the clock. And what I really want to talk about is that the scriptures really stressed out a lot about the east direction. More than anything, to me, is what in my research, and so that must be important. So the east direction, it could it's seen in many different ways, but like whether it just goes down, and east is pointing to June, which is Savan, but you could also point to 2015, and 2015 is also pointing to the east direction. In Genesis 3, Adam, he went into the east direction, and so as in Genesis 4, so remember that Cain, he went to the east direction as well, and just a lot of east that was mentioned throughout the scriptures. I remember that Jonah, if I remember it correctly, he also went to east as well. So anyways, again to the hour of the clock. Actually, if you wanted to see the entire chart, if the chart will be ready, then it'll be on the website, and you can have it like on PDF. But so anyways, with the hour of the clock, so actually, well, it is, once again, it's by month, it's by year, and they get like different results. And for instance, right now, in here, it's like January. It actually points to 10 o'clock. It's also 22 o'clock at the same time. So also you could go forward, you could go backward. And right now we're in 2017, and that points to 5 o'clock and 17 o'clock. 16, we're like 2016. The chart needs to work with 2016 at the same time as well. And it also, well, it points to other like directions, but there's gonna be a lot more to be done with this, and like all the other stuff that was shown. But and just like right now, these are the like pure data that really wanted to explain about first. There's gonna be so much more, and the minutes direction also comes by year, it goes by month, and well, for now, this year points to 25 minutes direction. And actually the clock could also be used with Bible reading. So what I believe is that, for instance, with Revelation chapter 6, if we like see that as pointing to 6 o'clock, and Revelation 9, if we see that pointing to 9 o'clock on the clock, then that would be well, because like that's the relationship going by quadrant, and so that means that Revelation 6 is connected with Revelation 9, because 6 o'clock is linked up with 9 o'clock. They're like equalized at the same time. So if that's to be seen, then why not like see other chapters as well? I'm not saying that every chapter could be used that way, but I believe that it could be used in some ways. And 25, the number 25, right now we're on minute 25, and that resembles to me of Matthew 25. But well, there's gonna be like more evidence to the year 2017, and when we like get into the countries part, countries, it so actually I haven't completed everything yet, but once again it also points to by month, countries by month, countries by year, And so what I really want to talk about is that if you ever notice that, well, Israel itself is like a pointer of the clock, and it points to, well, between 6 and 7 o'clock, and it's also point to 12 and 1 o'clock as well at the same time. If you see that, it's like a pointer of the clock. And I noticed that there is another pointer, and it's the Red Sea. The Red Sea, it's like a pointer of the clock as well. The Red Sea, representing the Passover, it points to the 2017 section, but there could be more specifics as to like why it's like pointing to a certain section in 2017 zone. And what I mean is that, well, when we see over the clock, there are like 30 degrees per section. There are 12 sections, representing the 12 months, and the 30 degrees representing the 30 days of a month. And so per section, well, and also every 30 degrees is also a turn of a new year. And it is really interesting because there are, well, 30 degrees. It could also be seen as 6 sections, which is like 5 degrees per section. And per section, well, every 5 degrees, well, what I could see is that every 5 degrees represent a single month. And so there are actually 6 months in total. And, well, there are 12 months, but because the Jewish calendar, like Israel is the gate, so the Jewish calendar, there is the Jewish calendar. There is New Year, Nisan. The second year is like Tishrei, and so every 6 months there is a turn of a new Jewish year, and that is what it could overlaps, like overlap both together, meaning this song runs with T3 at the same time. So 1 is S27, 2 S28, 3 S29. I actually wrote like I actually wrote about, well, it's like so that means that when they're combined, when 12 months is to be seen as 6 months, is actually Nisan with Tishrei at the same time, layered with Chishvan. The third section, or so I was like going through 1 to 6, and there's like 5 degrees each. And so the third is like Sivan and Kislev. The fourth will be Tomas and Tivet. The fifth will be F and Chivet, and the sixth will be Ilu and Ada. And so that converting back to the Gregorian calendar, like the months, would actually be the first will be April and October, will be from the first 5 degrees. The second one will be May with November. The third will be June with December. The fourth will be July with January. The fifth will be August with February. The sixth will be September with March. And so, so it is very interesting to see that it is pointing to the second section, which is 5 to 10 degree section, which belongs to May and November at the same time. And this is in 2017 section. So that means that what I believe is that, and as what I mentioned before in the past, from May 2017 and forward until September or until October would be a Houch season to look forward to. Why I'm saying about October, because I will actually according to Exodus chapter 34 verse 22nd, and it says, "And thou shalt observe the feast of the weeks, and of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end." And in Hebrew, "and" is to Kofa, means attorney, and that means the feast of trumpets only start after the fall equinox. And full equinox normally is in late September. So that means the next new moon, instead of September, it's actually in October, which will be after the fall equinox, because so I remember about like September 21st or around that time this year would be the Feast of Trumpet, but if it's to meet this description about the turning, like the new moon, the first new moon would not like be counted in September, but would be like in October. But anyways, not saying that September cannot be seen as the new year, but it means that both September and October both could also be seen as the Feast of Trumpets, like time, the Feast of Trumpets, and that is very important because it will turn a year from 5777 to 5778, and so that is, I believe, would be a deadline because it will fall on 8 So according to Genesis 7, said before, it is very important to maintain the transition code 6 and 7 together, because that also is highly related. It's directly related to Exodus. It's directly related to the fourth commandment of the Sabbath, and it's not just about 4/7 or but it also like that code also must be considered. So I consider before the Feast of Trumpet would be a really huge season. And so anyways, there is also another one about coding of the clock. When calculating the numbers from the Gregorian calendars and the Jewish calendars, like there are a lot of interesting results that came out of that. I'm not gonna go through all of those numbers, but for instance, 2015. Right now we're in 2017, but there is still a way to be able to connect back to 2015. But what is interesting is when combining both 2015 and 2016 together, it comes out a really interesting set of code. And what I mean by calculating both months together, for instance, Sivan from the Jewish calendar is with June, so that means 3 and a 6. So that will kind of like get into, like, it will produce a lot of different results through whether you're multiplying it, adding it, or repeating it. So anyways, 2015, the code for 2015 that came out of the clock is 666. It's and 2016 is 4/7. But when combining both 2015 and 2016 together, it came out 9/11, and also came out 1828. And the number 1828, I will explain it not in this video, but like soon. So that means that combining both years of 2015 and 2016 together is decay. And so anyways, I want to move on to Sown as well. I think that Sown is also worth looking, like worth watching on as well. And before that, I would like to explain about there is a order of events before the rapture of the bride to take place. There must be something that happened before that, and right now it is still waiting to be fulfilled. And it's all about patterns. It's all about back in time. So the 3 days of burial of Jesus actually represents the 3 days of darkness, and it's a literal 3 days of darkness, and that was mentioned in throughout the scriptures, and it also mentioned in Revelation 6 about 6 seal. It's about the 6 seal. And before the 7th seal to happen, the 6th seal must occur. And during this time, there is a transformation to take place, a transformation of the bride to take place. And this transformation take place according to the pattern when Jesus was transformed after the 3 days of burial, representing the 3 days of darkness. And it had 40 days of harvest, representing an approximate 40 days of a great soul harvest before the rapture of the bride, which follows the patterns of the ascension of Jesus, where he was taken to heaven after the 40 days of his ministry on the earth. And so, as of right now, the series of videos, I'm not only going to talk about the rapture alone, but there are events that are to happen before that event, like that grand event to occur. And so there is the transformation that occurs first, and then lastly would be the gathering of the dead in Christ and those who remain alive will be caught up. And so those two are separate events, but the first one, the first call is what I say, first call transformation, that is that is not the rapture, but it is actually preparing the bride for the approximate 40 days harvest. For no one knows the day or the hour, so it's got to be approximately. So what it has to do with sown, I think the sixth seal is, well, the events that surround the sixth seal got a lot to do with sown, I believe, and so they will start up the LHC from May and forward, and so we can actually learn from back in 2015 when there were 2 major earthquakes that happened in Nepal. And if you ever superimpose the map of US with the impact zone of Nepal rotated, you would see that the first would hit on California, the second would hit on that was hitting on New York, but it represents New York City at the same time. And so that actually matches up what the scriptures talked about the West and the East. And of Song 103 verse 12. And it's about the three past shipwrecks, and but anyways, there is a connection of Soon, the Shiva statue at the headquarters in Switzerland, and also where Nepal is a Hindu kind of like Hindu kingdom where they're just connected together, ironically, and so at the same time, when CERN was operating the LHC, the like the earthquake happened back then in 2015 April, and so I think that was a precursor as to what will happen possibly as to the cost of the earthquakes that will fall upon California and New York City, and that will precede the transformation. But anyways, I actually explained in the past of series of years about the 6 days of darkness. It's not on this channel, but it's about the 6 days of darkness, and I've explained much as to what it is and the events that are to occur before the raptures take place. So anyways, I'm gonna stop here. Thank you.